Hi, Year 10s. We're continuing on with arithmetic sequences today. So continuing on from the stuff we've learnt previously, it's just looking at it a little bit more with applications and more worded questions / real problems. We're going to go through this here quickly when we're looking at finding the unknown term in an arithmetic sequence. So repeated addition can be used to make each new term in an arithmetic sequence. However, this would be very tedious if we wanted to know what the 50th term was. Okay, because you'd have to just go 5 plus 5 plus 5 50 times. And it'd take quite a while. We need to find a rule that helps us work it out without having to just completely repeat it like they've done down the bottom here. Okay, so we want to avoid having to do that. And we do that by finding the rule, okay, which is what we're going to get into. Okay. So we're moving away from just adding 5, and actually substituting values into a rule that will help us work out whatever term we need to find, whether it be the 5th, whether it be the 60th or the 100th. Makes it a little bit easier for us to do it that way. Okay, so we're moving away from that, moving on to the rule, which is this here. Okay, so the rule for finding the unknown term, which is what the n here basically means, the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, is this. Okay, so a plus n minus 1 times d, where a is the first term, d is the common difference, which is what we learnt the other day, and n is the position of number of the term. So I'm going to write that again. Tn equals a brackets n minus 1 d. And these are a is your first term, n is position of term we're being asked to find, and d is your common difference. Okay, so your first term is obviously the first one in the sequence. The position of term is the one you're being asked to find. Okay, so if we were to ask to find what is the 50th term in a certain sequence, that n would be 50. Okay, if we were asked to find the 8th term, the n would be 8. And the common difference is obviously just the addition or subtraction that's in that sequence. Okay, so that is the rule to work it out. We're going to go through several examples because I want us to make sure we get this really clearly, but that's the rule that I want you to have in your books. Okay, so A is the first term, N is the position of term you're being asked to find, D is the common difference of the sequence. Moving on, there's a couple of examples we're going to go through. Okay, so this is our question here. Find T30 or the 30th term in the sequence 21, 18, 15, 12. Strategy: to use that formula, we need to know A, D, and N. Okay, so A being our first term, it is 21. Okay, the number we're being asked to find is the 30th term, so N is our 30. And then we need to work out our common difference to find D. And to do that, you go term 2, take away term 1. 18 take away 21 is -3. So our D is -3. Okay, then all you're going to do is you're going to have to substitute it into that formula, which is what they've done here. T30 equals 21 plus 30 take away 1 multiplied by -3. Okay, and then you work that out on your calculator. The 30th term is -66. Now, there's just a couple of things I want to point out when we're looking at this. If our common difference is a negative like it is here, you need to make sure you put it in brackets and make sure you press the actual negative button, not the subtraction button when you're putting it in. It needs to be negative. So if in that instance, it'd be -3, not take away 3, because it makes a difference whether we're taking away 3 or it's actually multiplying by -3, which is what we need to be doing. Okay, we're going to go through another example now, breaking it down in more detail, basically from the questions from our textbook. Okay, so we've got a sequence here, 18, 21, 24, 27, and we're being asked to find T35. So we're going to put it into this here again. N minus 1D. Okay, so we need to identify what our A, N, and D is first of all. So our A is our starting term, our first term, which is 18. Our N, which is what we're being asked to find, is 35. And our D is our common difference. So what the actual adding or subtracting is, what the pattern is, and it is plus 3. Okay, 3. So it's a positive 3. Now all we need to do is substitute those values into our formula. So it becomes T35 equals A is 18 plus N, which is 35, take away 1, close brackets, comma D. Sorry, not D. Our D value is 3. My bad. Perfect. On your calculator, all you need to do is put that in. Okay, so you're going to go 18 plus brackets, 35 take away 1, close brackets, multiplied by 3, gives you 120. So our 35th term in that sequence is 120. Okay, the really, really, really key thing is working out what these are, your A, N, and your D. Once you've done that, it's as simple as substituting it and putting it into your calculator. So you need to work out that A is your first term, N is what you're being asked to find, and D is your common difference. A couple more examples again, we'll move on. Now this one's we're looking at a worded problem, okay? The hire of a car costs $180 for the first day and $150 for each extra day. Find out how much it would cost to hire a car for 7 days. So first of all, this is our key info for 7 days. 180 is our A. 150 is our common difference because we're adding $150 every time. And then our term number is 7. Okay, so that's what they've done down here. Our A is 180, N is 7, D is 150. All you need to do is put it into that same formula, which is what they've done here. There we go. And the answer is 1,080. So it would cost $1,080 to hire a car for 7 days. Now with question B, it's find a rule for the cost of hiring a car for an unknown number of days. So that basically is our A stays the same and our common difference stays the same. We just have an unknown for N. So the N stays exactly how it is. So yeah, our 180 is still there, 150 is still there, our N is still unknown. So that is the rule for finding on an unknown number of days. Okay, again, it's just a matter of getting the information out of the question, what we're being asked, and putting it into that formula. Okay, so 180 was our A, 150 is our D, and then our N is 7, or it's an unknown, depending on what you're being asked. Okay, so again, all you need to work out what to do is finding A, N, and D. That's the main thing you need to do, and then you just substitute it into that formula. Here's our last example. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. Okay. A sequence starts at 100 and had 7 subtracted each time to make new terms. Find the 20th term. Straight away. 100, 7 subtracted, 20th term. That's our A. That's our D. That's our N. Okay. Again, we're just going to put it into that formula of Tn A plus N minus 1, comma D. So we're just going to substitute our values. It becomes T20 equals A is our 100 because that's our starting, plus bracket 20, take away 1, close brackets, multiplied by our common difference, which is 7 subtracted, so negative 7. So again, that's where I was saying on your calculator, you need to make sure you put the negative 7 sign, not the take away 7. Okay, otherwise it's going to take away 7 from this formula as opposed to multiply it by -7. Okay, so this part here is really important. We get that right. We are not subtracting 7. We're actually multiplying by -7. There is a very big difference, and your answers will change depending on how you do that. If you put that in your calculator correctly, the answer is -33. Okay, so I just want to double check and just reiterate that all we're needing to do is finding out A, N, and D for this topic. Okay, your A is your starting, D is your common difference, N is the number that it's giving you. All right, and that makes it a lot easier for us to work out a significant amount of terms later in the sequence. That's all from me today, guys. There'll be a worksheet with the questions for this topic posted on your team's page. Let your teacher know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. Thanks, guys.